This car behind me is a 20-year-old rear-wheel drive Roadster. It's underappreciated, underloved, and heavily undervalued. The Pontiac Solstice, rather than do the sensible thing and run away screaming, "I bought it." It's completely impractical, questionably engineered, and yet somehow utterly brilliant. At first glance, it's a crossbreed between a Miata and a Corvette, and yet it's neither of those cars at the same time. It's built on GM's Kappa platform, which surprisingly is really good. The chassis is sharp, the balance is spot on, and yet almost nobody talks about these. Now, this car is not in perfect shape. It has road rash, cracks, scratches, bumps, dings, but none of that matters. Before I even think about throwing shiny parts at it, wheels, tires, suspension, a new exhaust for that matter, I need to know what I've actually bought. Before I do anything cosmetic or performance related, I need to make sure this thing's worth building on. Because with cars like this, it's not about what's on the surface, it's about what's underneath. So that means today it's the basics. The stuff that matters. The stuff every car guy should do when buying a new car. No upgrades, no modifications, just a proper reset. And if it survives this, then we can start having fun. So here's the plan. Coolant flush. Coolant starts to become acidic and will degrade your rubber hoses quite quick. Even if it looks good on the surface, it's always good to change this out. Fresh oil and filter. .3 brake fluid, a transmission fluid flush, and finally, 4 new OEM spark plugs. Now that's out of the way, let's get the car on some jacks and get that fluid draining. Because of this car's hydroformed chassis, we have to use these special plugs when jacking it up, so as not to bend the frame. Now the car's up on 4 stands and the jack supporting it. Not that I don't trust my Home Depot stands. We're going to get the wheels off, put them underneath. We need to take them off anyway to bleed the brakes. Now we're ready to start draining this oil. It's a 15mm bolt. With the oil draining nicely, not making a single splash, time to get the filter out. The filter, like a lot of cars, is not located at the bottom of the engine. It's actually on the top here. Takes a 1" and 1/4 socket, which I conveniently have in my impact set. So we'll use this along with our 1/4" socket and a 10" extension. Trying not to get oil everywhere. So changing our filter out to this royal purple one, as well as the royal purple high mileage oil. Let's get this new one in the housing. Here's our new filter compared to the old one. And to put it back in, we do it just the same way as we took it out. And this is ready to go back in the car. So just the same way as we removed it, I'm going to push this back in. Now the oil has completely drained, we're going to replace the drain plug and we can pour our new oil. With the old oil drained and the new filter in, plug replaced, it's time to fill it up. Now this is slightly off-putting. I've never used this royal purple before, and obviously all of their oils are purple. but it looks like I'm pouring old oil in. And you can see with the fancy purple oil, we're down to the third line. Now, there's still a good bit of overhead. So once the car's ran for a few minutes, I'm gonna top it up with a little bit more oil. With the oil change knocked out, filter replaced, it's time for the transmission fluid. Now the transmission fluid, which is covered by a large panel. So to get the panel off, a couple 10mm bolts, and we're good. Excusing the orange paint, I may have run over a can of spray paint. Gear oil's draining, you can see a slight flow there, most of it is already out. Two 24mm bolts, one fill, one drain, and it should all come out fairly quickly. Now, we're using 75 weight 90 max gear. This is okay on soft metals like coppers that are found in GL4 transmissions. And therefore, it's gonna be all right to put this in the Solstice, no problem. You might not have been able to see it very well, but that fill plug is a pain to get to. So that's why we're enlisting the help of a friend. That friend is called Slippery Pete. And what this is a pump with a long hose, and it's gonna allow us to pump from the bottle all the way into that fill plug without making a huge mess, hopefully. With the pump on, we can attach the hose to the nozzle, and you want to make sure that this is really on there. If you're changing your transmission fluid, a Slippery Pete is a must-have, especially when your transmission calls for 3 bottles of gear oil. Let's get this under the car, into that fill, and go from there. Back under the car, the drain plug is back on. And we take our hose, find the fill port, and begin to pump. You'll know it's full when you've A, gone through 2.5 bottles, and B, it starts to flow out of the fill hole. This is going to take some time. Transmission fluid completely refilled and the skid plate put back on. On the theme of fluids, we're going with brake fluid next. We're going to be replacing the old stuff with this Lucas Oil .3. To do that, we're going to be using this Solo brake bleeder kit. Let's see how well this works. There you can see the brake fluid reservoir. We're going to be starting at the caliper furthest away. So to start, we'll remove the cap. You can see that is pretty dark in there and a little sludgy. So we'll top it off with some new stuff just so we don't run any air into the system while we're bleeding the brakes. Now be careful with this stuff, it's extremely corrosive and will damage your paint. Start by locating the bleed nipple, which is going to be under this little rubber gasket in the back here. You might need a screwdriver to get that off. So the extension will go inside of the nipple and the hose goes on. With all that nice and fitted, we're going to take a 10mm and wrap it around there. The dirtiest one, obviously, and that fits on snug. And we're going to find somewhere magnetic for this to go to, but we really want to make sure the hose is upwards. Something like that, so the air doesn't travel all the way back down it. We really want the fluid to have one way up and no air can get back down. We're going to break the nipple open and we'll see the fluid start to fill. Now I'm going to get in the car and start pumping the brakes. This is going to fill this bottle up and we're going to be checking on our fill level over here. Because if that runs dry, you're just going to be sucking air into your system and you're going to keep bleeding. With the brakes bled, it's time to drain the coolant. The coolant will drain from here after I open the petcock up here. With the coolant sufficiently drained, we're ready to start filling it back up. But to do so, we want the car running. So let's get the wheels back on the ground, we'll change the spark plugs, and then run the car to fill the coolant up. At that time, we can also check for leaks as well. Car's on the ground. Let's get the spark plugs changed over and fill this with coolant. Then we can take her out. Spark plugs are simple. We're going with the OEM AC Delcos. These are already gapped to the Solstice's specifics. 5/8 spark plug socket, and they'll be out in no time. And just like that, old plug out. You can see how bad these ones are. It was pretty stuck in there, so I think these are original. And this is it compared to the new one. Here are the 4 old plugs compared to the 4 new ones. New one going in, exactly the opposite to the way we took them out. So the car's on the ground, all the fluids are changed, flushed. The last thing we have to do is the coolant. Now I've already set this up with our fill funnel. And you can get a kit like this on Amazon or from any auto parts store. Obviously listening and watching for any leaks that might occur. So there is a cold fill line on this, and I think we're gonna have to pipette some of it out. So you'll see air bubbles rising to the top, especially when we turn the car on. Once you've filled it a little past the cold fill line, we're gonna turn the car on. Letting the car get up to temperature. This is also a good chance to check for leaks. Now I've let it run for 5 minutes, saw all the air bubbles come out. We're good. That is all the maintenance completed on this car. Now the only thing left is a drive. It is a new day. We're back in the car and we're seeing how it feels after all that maintenance is done. And I can already tell you, the gear shifts are far smoother and the responsiveness. You guys saw for yourselves just how old those spark plugs were. They looked like they were the original one. And I can instantly feel in the higher gears, 4th and 5th, 5th being an overdrive gear, it's much more responsive. And with the new spark plugs, it feels great. Those are the 2 main changes, really the only things that you're gonna notice a difference of. So, that's it really. A day of maintenance done on the Solstice. This car is truly reset. We've got a fresh start, a new base in which to build something interesting, to do something quite cool. If you like this video, and you want to see more of this car and how this car progresses into a real build, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button. And that'll tell me that there could be some interest in this old Pontiac Solstice.